Well, my friends were sitting here trying to figure out my damn iPad thing or whatever the hell you want. I call it a data pad. This doohickey thing here, right? It was given to me by somebody who was very generous. My HP laptop is slowly dying on me. It's getting more and more problems. Uh, I don't have the money to replace it right away. I just don't have $300-400 laying around, and they ain't gonna magically come out of nowhere. But somebody generously donated an Apple laptop to me. Unfortunately for me, for the love of Pete, I can't understand. I don't know how to operate it. I can't even get it to log in, so I can get it to let me log in. I mean, honestly, I've tried everything the guy tells me to do. It doesn't like my internet access. It says it's not secure. Fuck, I don't know, right? I honestly don't know what to do. So I'm trying to do this as best I can. So I'm currently sitting at work, right? It's a slow Monday. The whole week's actually kind of slow. My work truck's at the shop. Been there all weekend getting some minor repairs done and getting the yearly inspection over with. I need to be calling them sometime this morning to find out if it's done or not. I don't actually have anything scheduled until tomorrow. Like I said, it's the next 2 weeks are going to be fairly slow. Uh, Such is the way the world goes sometimes. And I've been watching a lot of videos, of course, which I do, especially out at work. My job involves me driving between customers, and then 50% of the time or more, the customers' interceptors outside. That just means open a manhole, throw a hose down, let the truck do its job, and then drive back and forth until you're done. And that makes for some long days, and it just allows me a lot of time in the cab of the truck with myself, with the cell phone going, listen to this, that, and the other thing, and as best we can, and enjoying the weather as best we can as well. And so I've been listening to these things on Plum Island. Now, Plum Island is this island up in New York State's north end, northeastern tip of the Manhattan Island chain or whatever. And it's been notorious or infamous for the better part of 100 years. Its history goes back to predates the country's history. There's talk where there was a very brief naval or marine engagement against the British Navy for keeping them from pillaging or stealing sheep or something. And then the island itself, it's rumored that it's the site where the Lyme's disease got released into the country, because it's just ironic that there's a whole bunch of towns nearby that sound like Lyme's and relations thereof. I don't know if there's truth to that or not. I know that there is a government agency that's got a facility there that's supposed to be for animal and diseasing animal and vegetable and animal disease and stuff like that, research and containment and things like this. Makes it a pretty dodgy location. And then to add to the even worse history of the place, there is lots and lots of rumor and unproven innuendo that goes back decades about there having been more than just testing going on animals, which brings it to the point where just about every state has a facility of this sort of some type within the state's borders. I don't know of any state that doesn't have one. And a lot of times you may not even know you have them. I know that Iowa has several. For example, there's a nice big agricultural testing facility up there just to the east side of Ames, Iowa. That's up there where the Hawkeyes are, the Iowa State University and all this stuff. So there's a lot of ties with the university, into this outfit up there. And I've been on the grounds. I've done the grease trap there in their kitchen more than a few times over the last 8 years, 9 years. They don't get called up very often because they closed after the pandemic. During the pandemic. They closed the kitchen down, and they haven't really reopened it since. So they've been dragging their feet about going back to regular service. But the place is pretty big. It's very well protected. They have security at the gates. They also have a roving security force. I don't know that they would shoot you if you went over the fence there, but it's all indications are that they don't want people wandering in and out of the place where they don't belong. And it's contained inside. It's compartmentalized. So there's areas within the grounds that you don't go, and you don't go without going through another set of security. and that's fine. I've never been beyond the outside of the main building where the kitchen entrance is to go do the grease traps, and always with a detail from the maintenance department and sometimes security. So I mean, it's supposedly where they do testing for animal illnesses and things like this and other stuff of that nature. But once again, what do we really know what's going on there? What's going on in all the buildings that are on the campus? And more importantly, how much of that campus do we not see? We know the government's infamous for building down too. So how's many how many levels and below ground structures are sitting out there? I don't know. So if this Plum Island's like anything like that, I mean, that just goes to say that that's a really less than in the case of Plum Island, that's an ideal remote location compared to, I don't know, bumfuck middle of Iowa in the middle of the breadbasket of the United States. I'm not so sure what the intelligence in that is. And then, of course, part of the rumors of Plum Island was in the last decade or so it was closed down or phased out. Its functions were being phased out and then split up and sent across to various facilities across the country, specifically closer into the core. Once again, I wonder the question of the intelligence of that as well. Meanwhile, there's been some horror stories that come out of there. There's been at least one very confused looking creature or the remains of something that looks like some really weird ass creature that nobody can identify, that has a lot of different people saying, oh, it's a dog, oh, it's a pig or something. Right, so it gets washed up on a nearby New York beach someplace, not on Plum Island, but not far away from here. And it starts a whole lot of people going, what's really going on out there? Plus the other agencies that have been involved, that's been implied that more than one government agency has had facilities there or conducted experiments there. And of course, what the government was conducting 40 or 50 years ago is going to be grossly different what it is today, or maybe the same thing. You know, part of that testing to find out something is proved beyond a doubt whether it works or it don't work, and sometimes that means testing long after what you would think you should stop. Right? My question is you know, is this? Do you really think that a tenth of what they claim has gone on out there has? Or is there a lot more going on there that we're not made aware of? Well, and of course now the phasing the place out, obviously they've moved it to other locations. Shoot, it could be in a building just up the street from you. Ames is only about a 25-minute drive away, so, you know, if some kind of really nasty disease got loose from that lab up there and got into the food supply, it would be bad, right? On the other side of the fence, not having the research facilities close to the food supply as they do means that it would take longer to find problems and identify those problems, and more importantly, identify some kind of fix or cure for that problem. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. As for government testing and disclosed projects, yeah, it's the bloody government. I believe that they did do some stuff there, probably more stuff than we'll ever know. And then perhaps maybe not half the stuff that we think they did. You know, that's another thing to keep in mind. A lot of government agencies, government labs are just that. They're mundane labs that aren't any spectacular or any different from 1,000 others just like them. They're just working on some component of something, right? And maybe it'll be earth-shattering and maybe it won't, but we'll never know. And I'm sure that they don't talk about everything that they do. Test-wise, some things just purely theoretical and pure science just to see. That's the stuff that scares me the most, is because when they start getting into genetics and geneticists and they start playing with things that we don't know anything about or very little about, so we know more, that's part of the reason for doing it. The risk of what could come out of it, I don't know. What do you think? You think this Plum Island, the stories are true? You think that the government's actually running nefarious programs behind the scenes? A lot of these so-called nefarious programs are only nefarious because they don't tell you about it. But the reality is that they do things, a lot of these things, to make sure they can counter if somebody else pulls the same bullshit, or to actually try to understand why and how of certain things. Why do certain things work and function the way they do? It's just a given until we learn more, and the only way to learn more is to experiment on stuff, right? Anyway, I'm Rick, you're not. Till next time, I can figure out how to shut this damn thing off from over here, right? I'm trying to reach for something that it can